Erica, let's get going. Let's talk about you. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? What has been your church background? And also, why did you decide to do this film?
Okay. I am from Chicago, Illinois, still in the Chicagoland area. My church background, I have always been in church. Like my father was an assistant pastor of a Baptist church. So I was one of those PKs who was in church from, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. type of thing. So Sunday, then Tuesday for Bible study, then Thursday for choir rehearsal, then back on, Sunday for Sunday school, and then Sunday all, church for the entire day. So that lasted up until my adult years.
We were talking about how you decided to do the film. You grew up in church, your dad was an assistant pastor, you spent pretty much your entire life in church.
Yeah.
And then as you became an adult, you were like, I don't know about this. Is that what happened?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of stuff just wasn't lining up for me. I mean, it was too many contradictions, and I was just like, okay, what's really the point of doing this? So I made the decision like summer before last, actually, just leave and get away from organized religion. Which was really, really funny that one of the ministers that was interviewed in the documentary spoke about that too, how you had to like pull away and get away from all that organized religion to within yourself, and to pretty much find yourself first, and then build your spiritual relationship from there.
Ah, interesting. Okay, so how did you end up deciding that you were going to do this film? Like, kind of walk us through that process. What was that like?
It was really kind of random, but I guess how everything really works, it really wasn't random. But I was speaking with one of my friends about, we were talking about lesbian films like on Netflix. Did you see this film? Did you see this film? And then she was like, I really wish there were more lesbian films out. I was like, hell, the way my life is set up, my life could be a movie like on Lifetime or something. And then it just like kind of clicked, like, man, maybe I should kind of like have different stories from different women who had, different experiences within the Black church. And I had just finished maybe a few months ago, actually working on the documentary for my previous church. So I've always loved documentaries. I pretty much love, nonfiction and, real stories, and to see what the background of people and pretty much understand why they are at the place that they are at now. So it was like I said, it was pretty random, but at the same time, I know it really wasn't random. This was definitely something that I was supposed to do.
Awesome. Well, like I said, I watched the film. I thought you did a really good job for you being like a pretty much an amateur filmmaker. Why was this topic in particular? I know you kind of gave us a little bit of a hint earlier on, but why talk about lesbians in the Black church? I mean, I know about your own personal experience, but did you know of other women who were having challenges?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that was another reason. People were just left with a lot of questions, like, so what am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to go? Like, I love God and I love church, but I'm not welcome here, and I can't be who I am. I'm not authentic. So what am I supposed to do? So I thought it would be good to even get some people who are a part of open and affirming churches to possibly get that out there, saying, okay, maybe you're not welcome in this this particular church. However, you can go and still be, I guess, dedicated to your belief system and actually be at a place where people accept who you are. So, I mean, it's just a lot of different stories that I'm just hearing about people, and most of it is people are just living on the down low. Or more so, a lot of people actually know that you're gay, but, will allow you to still serve in the church. You can, like be in the music ministry. You can even preach. You can do all these other things, but as long as you don't bring out that whole lifestyle of you being gay, then that's okay. So I feel like that's pretty much stifling that person and their own personal growth. So I really feel like people needed this subject just needed to be addressed. And most of the time when this subject is addressed, it's not even necessarily with women. It's always with men. It's always these fags, these sissies, and all these other things. And these women are living these secret lives too, and they're suffering at the same time as well. So I really felt like there needed to be some type of platform for women. It's not really, you know, woman power, I am woman, hear me roar. No, it's it's nothing to that effect. But I think that voices definitely need to be heard. I don't think that healing and change can actually occur until you actually talk about these situations and face them head on. So.
So you pointed out something, Erica, that I found very interesting. You mentioned that it's mostly men who get the brunt of the kind of judgment for being kind of down low. But you're right. A lot of women, especially feminine presenting women, you know, go to church and go through the whole, you know, charade of having a roommate for 20 years or to church. And so we're kind of definitely, I would say, more deeply closeted than maybe gay men, because at least, you know, you see a man who's gay, you make assumptions, like you said. One of the couples you interviewed in the film, they were, and I love that you interviewed so many Black couples because, of course, they're Black, but mainly because that's when it becomes an issue for us, when we have a partner.
Right.
You know, when you have a partner is when you have the conversation about, what do I do now? Because if you're single, you don't have to really address it. You can just say I'm single, and you don't have to explain what you did with your weekend, or you don't have to explain who this person is.
Right.
I think it's interesting that you mentioned that women in general are more deeply closeted, at least in the church.
Yeah. And a lot of them are marrying men just because, you know, so they won't be outed. And they feel like this is what they have to do. I have to have a family. I can't marry a woman and be open and have that to be accepted. So I have to marry this man, even though I don't like him. I don't really love him. But to keep that family unit, quote unquote family unit look, a lot of women, even like Bishop Yvette Flunder that was in the news clip, she married a man and had a child, and both of them were gay. It was just like, why are we really wasting this time with people who we really don't really want to be with? We're unhappy, we're depressed. If they would take an anonymous poll of how many depressed and suicidal people are in the church, particularly the Black church, I think they would be surprised. Or maybe again, they probably. But I wonder though.
Well, I think they would be surprised, because the solution, church is the solution for everything, right? Like, that's the solution for everything. And so if you are depressed, then you don't really believe, or you're not a true Christian, or you're just not reading your Bible, you're not doing anything, because that's your solution. You can't be depressed and be in church. That's just not.
So they say.
So they say. And I mean, people have depression for all kinds of reasons, but definitely going to church and being in an unaffirming environment can really take a toll on your mental health. And I know that from personal experience. Erica, you know that from personal experience. I'm going to invite the McDaniels to join our conversation now, because Tanisha, you mentioned that you were very church. We're taking a look at you. You're a beautiful sister, but clearly you tend to swing more to the masculine side. And so, you know, what was your experience like? Were you able to dress the way that you do and still go to church and be accepted? What was that experience like?
You know, I grew into my authenticity as I got older. You know, at first, you know, I was just, you know, that's Tanisha. She's the tomboy. You know what I mean? But as an adult, I was very comfortable coming as I am, because that's what they say. Come as you are. You know, I would go to church dressed in my full, you know, female masculinity, as I like to say, with my bow ties and my dress shoes, you know, and my and my blazers, you know. I even served on a security team, you know, in my authenticity, you know. But I was, you know, in my later years, you know, I was in a church environment where I was comfortable. You know, even though it was open for me to be there. It was not an affirming church. Just, oh, that's Tanisha, that's the gay girl that goes here on the security team, you know. But it was difficult, you know, at first for me. At a previous church, I was serving in ministry. And at one point we had to go through all the different ministries in the new members program before we chose our ministry. And I was told the week it was for me to serve on the ushers ministry that you have to wear a skirt. This is what you need to do.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, I wore this skirt. Now, when I got there, people were in jeans.
Did you take pictures of
jogging
it?
pants? No, I did not. No, I did not. But I was.
Tanisha and Erica went to high school together, so they know each other from way back when.
Yeah. No, you don't have any pictures of that, E. Okay, you don't have any pictures of that. But it was just funny to me how I was like, you're gonna do this, when it wasn't a prerequisite for anyone else. You know what I mean? So that's the kind of discrimination I had to deal with, being, you know, a somewhat masculine female, a lesbian female, attending, you know, church, being myself in my authenticity, and how they, you know, would take opportunities to nitpick at who I was because of their insecurities about me, you know.
Right.
So.
So you brought up an interesting point, T. You brought up the double standards, right? You know, Erica, one of the women, a part of the documentary showed the story of a woman who was delivered from homosexuality. I think there were two clips you shared in the film.
Yeah.
One of them was just extremely sad, and I want to get the exact wording of what she said. But she basically said it was abomination because that's what the Bible says. She said it was going to hell, that there are levels of sins.
Right.
And so being a homosexual, being a lesbian was one of the worst types of sins. And, you know, that mindset could be the reason why, T, you had the experience that you did, which you were like, you know, trying to follow the rules and wear the skirt, but other people were doing what they want to do.
Exactly.
That people, you know, often have with the church is saying, look, you know, I may be gay, but I'm not hurting anybody. I'm not, you know, committing adultery. I'm not, you know, I'm not murdering anybody. Like, I'm a decent person. You know, there are other people in the church who are doing some really damaging things, and, you know, we're not calling them out.
Right.
The lesbians, especially the masculine lesbians, because they can't really hide it.
Right.
So, like, what was, I mean, after that, moving on, after you wore the skirt and realized everybody else, you know, wasn't following the rules, you know, what came to mind? Did you think, you know, okay, I don't think I'm gonna follow the rules anymore. I'm not gonna go to church anymore. Like, what happened?
No, it was I still went to church, you know, and I knew I had to wear the skirt. You know, I knew why I had to wear the skirt. I knew why I was driven home to me, because they were attempting to, you know, drive out of me what they call this abomination. You know what I mean? And I had conversations with Sunday school teachers, you know, who would bring me a pamphlet on homosexuality. This is your issue. This is how you should rectify your issue, you know, in the church setting that I was in. So,
yeah,
that was
yeah. So,
oh my God.
you know, I went a span of my life where I was, you know, delivered, so to speak.
Girl, let's talk about that.
I was 3 years. Well, you know, like I said in the documentary, you know, the church setting that I was in, you know, the preacher on me, you know, not personally, but just addressing this issue in the pulpit in a way where I was like, I need to get my life together. I'm going to go to hell. You know, I'm going to miss out on blessings. You know, God is not going to bless me like this. You know, so a span period of my life where, you know, like I said in the documentary, I still had gay friends. I still went to gay settings. You know, I was just not living in my authenticity, you know, and a part of me was miserable. You know, part of me wasn't happy because of that, you know, and I lived through depression, and I lived through the anxiety, even outside of the church setting, you know, going to work every day, you know, as a parent, my child's school, I would think they looking at me because I'm a lesbian. They're judging me because they can see that I'm a masculine female and that, you know, that I'm gay and homosexual. And all of that anxiety derived from a church environment that say, oh, we love you, but we don't accept who you are.
Right.
That's difficult. That's difficult. And it's hurtful. It's very hurtful. I have had a conversation with a friend this morning, right before this interview, and she was saying that, you know, she's lesbian, and she applied for a position in her church. This is a predominantly Caucasian church she attends. And she applied for a position in ministry. And when it came down to her getting this position, after talking to the pastor, the deciding factor was, are you gay and lesbian? And as she spoke up and said, yes, I am. You know, I come in out of church. It's not I am. And her analogy was, if this is God and God, your tree in the house, you know, squared off or held to this certain point in the house, I can only go so far. You know, that
so T.
No,
In and out.
Okay. All right, guys. So thank you, Monica. Thank you for commenting. She said, this is why I don't attend church, period. LaShawn said, this is sad. You're absolutely correct. That is, you know, there's a lot of pain that Black women experience on a daily basis just in America in general.
Right.
And, you know, the church is supposed to kind of be like, you know, our
safe zone.
Our safe zone. I mean, maybe theoretically, you know, it's supposed to be a safe place. One of the things Erica talked about was just the hatred that is often the sermons that come from the pulpit, where they specifically talk about, you know, how terrible being gay is. And it's extremely painful. I mean, I can tell from T, I don't know if it's been since you've been in that church, but it's very clear to me, still very hurt by that. I can see it in your eyes.
It's painful.
And I mean, I've had the same experience. I mean, I went one step further. I actually worked for a church, and one of my friends, she and I were having a conversation on Friday, and she was telling me her experience about being at work with these majority Black Christian women, and how she started a new job, and it's a good job. It's a job that she's been wanting for a long time, and they're talking openly in the work environment that they don't like the whole gay thing.
Right.
And they don't know that she's gay because she's very feminine presenting, although she has a masculine walk. I don't know how they don't know that, but yeah, girl, she walked like, anyway. So, but, you know, so she said to me, what should I do? What should I say? And I said, girl, I mean, to be honest with you, if you're trying to protect your income, it depends on who these people are. She is legally protected from having any repercussions from losing her job because she's gay. That's a legal right that she has.
Right.
However, you know, you can't be protected in church. I worked for a church, and I was very, very closeted. And so I could, if I were to tell somebody, I would lose my job. So, you know, I can understand this young lady, my friend, you know, she's working and with people who may discriminate against her, even though they can't legally do anything. And then she goes to church and she's closeted in church because she likes church. I mean, she loves God. She wants that that emotion, the feeding that you get from going to church and fellowshipping, even if it's difficult for you. LaShawn is saying, you know, I was raised in the church and I've had to hide who I was until I was 20. So yeah, the hiding, you know, part is what is so painful.
Right.
You know, there may be parts of your life that you could probably, you know, go to work and you don't have to tell people your business, but church is a very vulnerable place.
Right.
Yeah. You know, I mean, God knows everything, right? He knows who you are.
Exactly.
So how do you go and you want to serve, you want to give your gifts that he gave to you, and then you're told you can't serve? I mean, do you know how hard it is to get people to do things in church? It's really hard. I mean, literally, my pastor would beg me to do stuff, and I was like, really? And I didn't participate because I knew that for me to do certain things, like I was a behind the scene person, I knew for me to do certain things that I would need to. I just didn't feel comfortable because I knew who I was, and for me to say, yeah, I'm going to be the youth leader and be even on the side, on the download, that didn't feel good to me. That did not feel good to me. Let me see if what anyone else on Facebook is saying. Guys, join in. Let us know, you know, what your thoughts are, what you're thinking, and any questions you may have, because we really want this to be an interactive conversation. It's not just me and the panelists talking. We'd love to get your input as well. So let me get Kanisha to join the conversation.
Yes.
So Kanisha and Tanisha, how long have you two been together?
Well, we have been friends for 14 years.
Wow.
You know how that goes. You have the crush, you're been together for 3 years, married for 1.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
So tell me something. Kanisha, have you been out in your church? I mean, were you like a church girl as well? Did you go to church with Tanisha? Were you all at the same church? Like what, how did?
I did attend church with her, and I wasn't as like a member on ministry or anything like sit me in the balcony, let me just get the word from her, you know, but I did see how it affected her and the looks and everything that she was getting, and you know, I'm more feminine, so tell with me, you know.
So I'm having a little bit of a technical difficulty here
for me
with Kanisha, but I think what she's saying is that because she's feminine presenting, she may not have had some of the challenges that her wife had. So do you guys, do you go to church now? Let's answer that question. Oh no. Okay. So you guys are frozen for a little bit. So maybe one of the things we can try to do is to like have you guys come out of the live and then come back in and ask the question again. Okay. Let me jump back over to Tanisha.
Like, look close. You must be frozen.
You guys are frozen, so I'm gonna go over to Erica, and then if you guys could hang up, come back in, and we'll try again a little bit later. Erica, back to you. So sure. Tell me if maybe you want to talk about maybe a particular story that really, really touched you. I know one that was one of my favorites, but you interviewed, I don't know how many women you interviewed, but it was maybe 8 or so. What story do you feel like was, you know, one of the most like touching stories that you I mean, they probably all are, right?
Yeah. everybody had some type of background story, but I mean, even though Tanisha and I actually went to high school together, I didn't even know her background history as far as her even growing up in the church. I think a lot of the stuff that she did speak about kind of hit home for me to realize the type of things that she had to endure in a well-known church in Chicago, actually, that, you know, it's just really crazy, the stories and the heartache that people have to go through and the years that it takes for them to actually try to heal from that. A lot of people are still healing from the situations that they had to go through and had to endure. So I think everybody pretty much has some sort of story, even a lot of the things that didn't even make the documentary itself. I'm actually going to probably put up like a few separate clips in here and there that tells even some more in-depth stories. But I think everybody pretty much has some type of story that I can either relate to from personal experience or from people that are in my life personally, different friends or family members. So yeah, I think that definitely the story about when Tanisha said that the usher was the Sunday school teacher handing her a pamphlet about homosexuality. And it's just like, where do you get off just saying, okay, hey, first of all, I didn't even have a conversation with you. And you're going to tell me that I'm a homosexual and I need to get delivered, and you're going to hand me this pamphlet as if you're saving my life. I think that is just the most arrogant, disgusting thing ever. They want to talk about, you know, being lesbian is disgusting. No, that type of mess is disgusting. What you realize what you are mentally and emotionally are doing to a person when you do that to them. Yeah. So they're coming to a place where they are supposed to be accepted, where they are supposed to be loved. And here you are saying, you know, I love you, but.
Yeah. Asterisk.
No.
Asterisk.
Yeah. Right.
But you know what? Can I comment on that?
Tanisha, go ahead.
Go ahead, T.
Go ahead, T.
Okay, so the problem is, you know, that they really think that they're doing the right thing. You know, there's so many layers of how this church tradition has been, you know, driven home into people where they really think like they are saving lives. They really think that they are doing the right thing. You know, it was almost like I'm in a burning house, and she gave me that. She really thought, you're gonna die in here. I have to get you out. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm the type of person that don't really hold people in on the individual level accountable. My whole thing is with the whole church thing as a whole, like collectively, you know, collectively, the church as a whole really has to take a really good look at the day-to-day operations on how they handle people.
Right.
I really don't believe they have a compassionate and a handle with care approach. Even as I said today, in the experiences I had as a lesbian in the church that hurt me, you know, I still don't shun the church. I really believe that it's for people to start their spirituality learning process, and then from there they evolve. I really think it's a place people can go to get the help that they need. You know what I mean? But at the same time, the people in the church are not operating out of a place of love and compassion. They're doing things in an arrogant way. Well, this is the church. This is our church. I'm this and I'm that. Nobody cares about your titles. You know, as a person, you should care about this individual's soul, who they are as a person. You know, usher them into, you know, their authenticity and who the Creator made them to be as the gods that they are. You know, but you know, church sometimes wants to dumb us down and put us in this hierarchy of things. You know what I'm saying? You're just a member. I'm the pastor. And I'm no different than you. Right. If this was my choosing, my walk, you could be the member. I could be your pastor. You know, and it's human experience we're having. And I think we as people, period, but especially church people, miss that. They miss that a lot.
Yep.
So, and I'm glad that you said all that. The fact that we're not compassionate sometimes because we're so rule oriented, you know, that we think we're doing the right thing by telling someone you're doing something wrong. but it actually leads to a lot more harm. What I'm getting live here is that one young lady said her ex broke up with her 4 months after, wait, hold on. She said she had a pastor tell her ex that she was going to hell if she continued the relationship. So the ex broke up with her and went back to dating men 4 months later. And then someone says, a couple people say that they no longer attend church. One person said they haven't been in church since 1985. And
Wow.
now I'm wondering is it possible? I mean, there are churches out there that are affirming, you know, there are churches out there that are affirming and they will embrace you, all of who you are. There's a lot of unity type churches that are gay, very gay friendly. I think they're actually gay churches. And is that the solution? Like, what is the solution? Because people love God and want to serve him. You know, did you, Erica, did you have any conversations with the pastors, you know, about what solution? Because there are people, one young lady said to me, several people commented before the start of this saying that, you know, I really want to go to church. I want to go to church with my partner, but I'm afraid, you know, what is the solution? What's the solution?
You definitely have to find you an open and affirming church. And it was crazy that even when I was speaking with the pastors and the ministers, when we kind of briefly spoke about open and affirming churches, there are a lot of churches like within the UCC denomination who say they're open and affirming and will have the, you know, the gay pride flag outside, but at the same time, they're not. They're open to you being gay. Yeah, you can serve here, but we're not affirming who you are. They don't affirm you to actually be a lesbian and to actually be gay. And some of them won't even marry you. So why are you open and affirming church? Like, I don't understand. If I can't be who I am and I can't bring my partner here and we can actually, everybody knows this is my fiance or this is going to be my wife, then what's the point of me actually coming here to an open and affirming church? So they have to actually really be careful even with that. Do your research on some of these open and affirming churches. Sadly, you have to find you a place. I think one of the pastors said you have to find kind of like your tribe, the people who are really going to be accepting of all of you, all of you.
And I mean, and that's great. So one of the challenges I have is we have a lot of people who follow Black Lesbian Love Lab who either live in communities where they don't have those choices. You know, they don't have those choices, or, you know, the church, it's a community, you know, it is, for me, it was very, very difficult to leave the church. I eventually left, not necessarily because I left for many other reasons, but it was difficult for me to leave because, you know, my mother, my aunt, my entire family went to the church.
Right.
And if, you know, sometimes if I went to a church school, then that was another segment. It was like my entire world. And so it was difficult for me to go. I didn't even want to go look for another church because honestly, the church I grew up in is the church that I loved. Those were all my friends and family were, even though they didn't know who I really was. But the community part, the fellowship part was so important to me. So it made it very difficult. And Black people are very community oriented people.
Right.
So, you know, going to church and having someone's, you know, macaroni and cheese and the chicken, you know, I mean, that's a part of the worship experience. And having, you know, like I said, I have people now who still text me from church, and I just look back and I think these are some really wonderful people. And, you know, like I don't have anything against them personally. I feel like they have some misguided views about spirituality and Christianity and what you need to do in order to call yourself a Christian. But I think they don't have a hold on the word Christian. They don't get to own it. You know, this doesn't belong to you, to them only, if you're just because you're in church. I think I'm kind of rambling, but I guess, like I said, the concern is, you know, we are privileged. I live in Baltimore. You guys live in Chicago. We are privileged because we have, you know, choices. Some people don't have choices, and if they live in a country that, you know, where in order for them to be safe from bodily harm, they have to pretend to be straight. That's what they have to do to protect themselves. And I don't have any kind of, you know, I don't have any feelings about that. Like I feel like do what you have to do to take care of yourself in that regard. Yeah. But let's come back to Kanisha. I'm sorry we haven't had a chance to talk to you much. But I wanted to know because this is, I mean, you are going through it together. Do you guys go to church now?
We do not attend church now at all.
What happened?
No.
Yeah, because you're here on a Sunday talking to me. Black church is still going on right now. So.
Right, they bucking and shouting right about now.
Good old time.
Yeah. For me, the fellowshipping, is that the word, fellowshipping? It
works.
It wasn't as important to get like the whole euphoric feeling, that you get from the church, that you feel going through you with the song and the dance and getting the good word and everything. Once I started to kind of do it myself or at home in my own bubble, like, whoa, I still feel the same way here, and I'm still getting the same exact thing, but I don't have to go there and feel that way or watch the way that people look at my wife or feel uncomfortable. Like, I can do it and get the same exact thing where I am in the comfort of my home, being who I am. So that was my biggest thing in not wanting to go back. And every Sunday, we're getting dressed and stuff, and I'm tired. You want to just go to breakfast, or you want to, we live so far away now.
Brunch, not church. Hashtag brunch, not church.
Right.
Yeah, and once I realized that it's within me. I pray and meditate and do everything, and I'm getting the same end results. I don't need all the extra. Like, I never cared anyway.
Yeah. The reason, I'm just gonna jump in here. The reason we didn't stop going to church because of the whole Black lesbian experience.
Right. Same for me.
We just evolved as people. You know what I mean? Yeah. I got into the truth of what the Bible really means, what it means to be a spiritual being, having a human experience, the metaphysics of this current reality we live in. And by my evolution, I didn't feel it was necessary for me to take a day to attend church. And I didn't want to be a parent that took my kids somewhere that wasn't necessary for their evolution as spiritual beings having a human experience. I didn't want my kids to grow up saying, well, we just went because our mothers made us go.
Right.
That's my story. And I had the experiences I had because I grew up in a church setting, So we stopped going for different, you know what I mean? I still love my church. I still love my pastor. I would visit here and there just because I enjoyed the experience being there, but my thinking has changed. You know what I mean? So that's why our thinking has changed, and that's why we don't answer the
Okay. Now, someone on the live feed has said, she wants to have a traditional church wedding, but will not be able to do so because the Black church discrimination against the LGBT community. Let me be real with y'all. Do you guys, let me ask Erica this question. I know that you kind of brought it up in, you kind of brought this up in one of the interviews with the pastors. It was really funny because it was a couple and they're both pastors. And she said, I guess the question I'm leading to is the Black church more homophobic than any other church? And one of the partners said no,
right,
not at all. And her wife or her partner was like, "Are you kidding me?"
She's in denial. Yeah.
So I think there's this idea, there's this belief that the Black church is more homophobic than others. We are the people who are not loving. Our churches are not loving, and I don't know what to say, because again, the conversation they had was the way that she justified us not being homophobic, the Black church not being homophobic, was by saying, well, everybody knows the minister of music is gay and everybody knows this person is gay. Knowing and acknowledging are two different things.
Exactly.
But yeah, so let me know, do you guys think that the Black church is more homophobic than any other churches? Is it just us? Are we the ones who are just hateful, or like, what is it?
I don't think it's more so just, the Black churches, because I watched a documentary, I think it's called The L Word, Mississippi or something like that. And it was pretty much about this subject. Most of the churches that were on that particular film, they were like Caucasian churches. But for me, I think the reason why I spoke about the Black church is because I think I even put it in the documentary because of the history of the Black church and where it actually came from, and our different type of mentalities and why we actually think this way. But I don't really think it's more so a difference. I think it's probably expressed a little differently in Black churches than it is in the white church. I mean, I have seen some white pastors who are just really out there with the hate against the LGBT community, but I think it is more so prevalent in the Black churches. I think it's hit really, really hard in the Black churches.
I remember running a story on the blog about this Black lesbian couple who they were sending their daughter to a Black church school. And the girl was probably 3 or 4. She was in preschool. She was in preschool, and she had been going to church school for a couple of years. And as soon as she got into and it's a private school, you have to pay for this. This is not like public education. And as soon as she started going to kindergarten, and basically they changed the rules of the handbook, and it's specifically targeting them, saying, you cannot send your child here if you're not going to uphold the tenets of the church, and basically sent the girl home and told the parents they can't send these lesbian parents, you can't send your child here if you're going to be openly gay. I don't know, like I said, I don't know much about I grew up in a very mixed kind of multicultural church experience. So I don't know if and it wasn't like a Baptist church. So I don't know what those other AME, the Baptist, I don't know what that experience was like. And I can't speak to, I don't like to generalize. I don't believe that we are more anything. I mean, people are people, and, whatever we interpret, sometimes we interpret things in a very negative way, and sometimes we interpret it in a more holistic, loving way. So I don't know that I want to say the Black church is more homophobic, because like you said, I mean, there are a lot of white churches where you hear them say some really crazy things, and no one is saying, they're more crazy than, there's no comparison there. It's just, that's, whatever. So I don't, like I said, I don't know that we are more homophobic. It's just, this is our experience because that's the only experience that we've had. So we can speak about that. Right. Yeah. But it's, like I said, I thought it was interesting that this couple, they're both pastors, and they both have different sort of interpretation of the church experience. So let's kind of wrap up now, because I've been talking for a while and it's been such a great conversation. Like I said, for the young lady who said, she wants to get married at a traditional church, have a traditional church experience. For the young lady who said she wants to go to church with her partner and but feels nervous about going. Is there any kind of advice that you guys, from your experience, that you can share with any of these folks who still want to do the church thing, like aside from just don't go? Any advice for them?
I would say, you're gonna have to shop around, attend some churches, and go where you feel most comfortable, because like I said, my last church experience where I was an active member in ministry, I was very comfortable. But that was after attending several years, and the people who initially gave me those dirty looks got to know me as a person and grew to love me as Tanisha, not the lesbian coming to church. So they would have to shop around churches and attend where they feel most comfortable. Yeah. And as the people around them get to know them and they turn into that church family, you know, then that might be the best place for them. But that does not mean that they will affirm who they are. That does not mean the pastor will marry them or they can get married in the church. You know, as we say in Chicago, you're going to have to take some L's. You're not going to get everything, you know.
Yeah.
You're not going to get everything out of that experience. But what you want to be is comfortable, and you want to be in an environment where people will give you a chance for you to show them who you are as a person, you know, and that's pretty much all you can ask for, because at this point, there's not too many, you know, traditional church environments that's going to change the way they operate and what they believe in. Yeah.
Right. And unfortunately, there's not too many. I think a lot of, if you come from that Black church experience, you're looking for another church that has that same type of feel, with the same type of music ministry, the same type of, you know, hooping and hollering type of preaching thing. You're looking, I mean, that's what you're used to and that's what you want. But a lot of the quote unquote open and affirming churches aren't really like that. They're not just open and affirming Black churches. Most of these churches are multiracial, they're multicultural. And I think you have to, if you're still wanting that type of relationship with God, you have to actually kind of put aside of like your preferences, I think, and not say that I have to go to a church where the music ministry is singing these particular type of songs, or the preachers, you know, preaching this type of way. You kind of got to open up your mind and your heart to something that's different and kind of foreign to you too. And like T said, you got to shop around and shop around. Don't stop trying to look for that same type of feel. Go to a place that is actually going to love you and accept who you are.
Facts. Yeah.
That's the most important part. Because if you're going to another church that gives off this churchy feel that you had before, you're going to end up in the same situation, especially if you have a partner, especially if you plan on marrying this person. Like, you are going to, at some point, you're going to be miserable in that church, and you're going to be in the same position again where you have to find another church that's going to be accepting of your whole life. So open up your understanding and your perspectives of how church is supposed to be.
Amen. I could tell this is a preacher's daughter.
Here we go.
Well, I do want to say this maybe one last thing. I see a couple of people just joined in. Thank you, Angela, for joining us. So here's the one thing that I think you want to also maybe take away, because I shared this in the article that we wrote about you this morning. You said this is not a church bashing film.
No.
That was not the purpose. The purpose is not, and I know it kind of may seem like that's the case, because none of us go to church.
Right.
More, you know, but this is not a church bashing film. You know, Erica, you were saying that you were hoping that the people in the Black church would actually watch the film with an open mind.
Right. And actually see the effects, like see what you are actually doing to a person. I don't think a lot of them really know. Like Tanisha was saying, that she can't really blame that one particular person, but just the institution itself and how they actually treat people. I don't think they really realize how they're doing things and thinking that they're going to actually really help somebody is really hurting them. I think it was Monique said it in the ending after she, you know, stopped cussing the church out with the Dear Black Church episode. She said it, that you are really killing people. You don't realize that you're killing somebody, but you're really killing them mentally. So I think that's my goal. Even if you do not want to change your stance to say that being gay is right and it's okay and we are going to accept you and we're going to marry you, even if you don't do that, you still need to see how you're treating this particular group of people. Not even this particular group of people, because it doesn't just go with just the LGBT community. It's with some of everybody. If you don't look a certain way, if you don't have that church lingo, if you don't, have that you don't know this artist, you don't know, Jesus Can Work It Out song. If you don't have that church background history, you're still almost like you really realize the effects that the consequences of this suicide.
Yes.
And I grew up in the church. So, you know, really realize what you are doing to people and how it affects them and how it affects them as just a person, as a human being, not a churchgoer, not a member of your church, just as a human being. Right. Show me where Christ, and actually the ones he was going most against was the church folks, the Sadducees and Pharisees. Y'all, this churchy foolishness that y'all going, he was preaching against that. He was going to the people. You are not going to make me believe that Jesus was not, if he was here in this day walking the earth, that he was not going to go to the LGBT community and holler at them like, what's up, let's talk.
That's right. That's right.
You are not going to convince me that he's not going to do that he would never ever do that. The people that are marginalized, that's the people that he was going to, because those are the people that y'all were killing every single day. So
that's right. And like I said, to piggyback off Erica, like I said in the documentary, and like I said here today, just treat people with love and compassion. Handle everybody. Yeah, the young lady came from the club in the club dress to church. So don't look at her. Don't give her that dirty looks. If anything, more love on her heart.
Right.
You know, and I think that they miss that.
All the time.
When I operated ministry, when I was in service, when I'm serving people on Sunday or even whatever events we had at the church, I was intentional about being that person that was going to love on people, because you don't know how people are treated on the streets.
Right.
So for them to come into church, homeless, dirty, stinking, whatever, whoever they are, you love on them more in the church. So it could be a place where they could find, you know, the compassion that they don't get anywhere else. And church people miss that mark every single day.
Yep.
You know, just treat people with love. That's the bottom line.
Amen.
And that's the main reason why a lot of people actually do leave, because of the lack of love that they're getting from the place that is so loving and so caring and so loving God, and they're leaving church most of the time depleted.
Yep.
I'm going here to get what I need outside of the church. What I need to have, I'm supposed to get inside of the church so I can carry it to my workplace, to my family, to my job, to outside, to the person, to the woman that's in, you know, the grocery line that needs extra dollars to get her baby some food. All this stuff, that these tools and this love and this compassion that I'm supposed to learn in the church, I'm not getting it. So why in the hell am I going to y'all? What's the point?
Mm-hmm.
And there was one part that Monique said, and I didn't put it in the film, but she said, and it's true to a certain degree, that the church has become a club. You pay your tithes and your offering to get in. You get your entertainment with the preacher and the choir, and then you go home. So if that's the whole purpose of going, I don't need it. What's the point? So I think they really need to understand, not just from this perspective of the LGBT community, but just as a whole. Like T said, treat people with love and kindness. Have I drawn thee? Is that not in the Bible? With love and kindness have I not drawn thee? But y'all pushing them away.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, on that note, we're going to end our interview, say goodbye to the ladies from Chicago.
Chi-town
in the house. So, man, I've really enjoyed this conversation. I thank you, Erica, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kenesha. Thank you, Tanisha. Thank you so much for having this conversation. I think it is critical that the Black community, not just the Black lesbian community, not the Black LGBT community, the Black community, you know, as a whole, have this conversation. It's really, really necessary. I mean, these institutions determine a lot of, you know, where we go in life.
Right.
And I grew up in the church. I mean, a lot of us, I mean, very, very rare. I think I met one young lady in my entire life who grew up Buddhist. A lot of us have some kind of experience in church. And one of the things I know, because I work for a church, is that it was very important to keep people coming to church. I mean, there were pastors who really had a burden and a heart for having people know God. You know, and they were every week they would sit there and go, why aren't young people coming to church, or why aren't this group coming to church? And the sad thing is, a lot of churches are made up of mostly women.
Yeah.
And women, I think sometimes, not always, can be a little bit more compassionate to their LGBT friends and families. So, you know,
Y'all drop your camera?
I saw that. I was like, what happened? You know, so if you are preaching in the pulpit and saying, you know, this person is going to hell and all that stuff, then maybe that's the reason why they're not going. I mean, I know people are probably wondering, what happened to me? Why did I stop going? Well, because I got tired of hearing all this negativity every time I went to church, and it wasn't nourishing for me. I just I got tired of it. I mean, I'm a Black woman, and I go to work, I go out my door, you know, and I have issues every day that I'm dealing with. I don't want to go to another place and face negativity and feedback. Janelle says, you know, she's a pastor's child, and breaking free from the church was the best decision I ever made. Wow. So this is something I keep hearing over and over again. There are people who still love church. You know, Angela was in here. I don't know if she's still here. She's a big church person. She left the church and came back because it was something that was really important to her. And now her and her partner go to church. They found a church that's accepting, I'm assuming. And now they go every Sunday, because they're always on Facebook posting about their Sunday swag. So, and her partner is masculine presenting. So I know they must have found a place that was accepting to them. So like I said, it was great having this conversation. It was wonderful having you all here. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh, wait. Angela's still here. Angela, do you want to comment at all about your experience so far? Because you were even, I think, a pastor at one point. She said, yeah, she's going to Affirming Church, so that's why she's doing, you know, much better now. Ursula says she still attends. Really? Wow, that is wonderful. You know, go where you are fed. You know, go where you feel the most. Sometimes you're fed at your regular church, and you just got to deal with some of the hatred. Sometimes you can't, you know, sometimes you don't throw out the baby with the bathwater, I guess. Yeah. It doesn't work for me, but it works for some people. You know, if you can find an affirming church, great. If you can do it at home, great. You know, whatever works for you. So Angela says she was a minister, and Ursula says she attends church and she leads out in church. Girl, what church is this? So maybe the church isn't as homophobic as we think, because here we are hearing from these women saying that they still go to church and they have a very rich church life. So Angela says she's been through many spiritual journeys. Yes, she has, because we've known each other for a couple of years, and I've heard we've been talking for a couple of years. So ladies, again, I don't want to keep us. I just feel like it was such a great, it was so wonderful having this conversation. Thank you guys on the live feed on Facebook Live. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. Inbox us to let us know what other interviews you'd like to see us do. This one, like I said, was a personal favorite of mine, because I have had this experience, and I know so many of the Black women have had this experience in church. So I jumped on it as soon as I saw that Erica was doing this film. I was like, I got to get on that. And if you missed the live, she's in Baltimore. Girl, we're in Baltimore, Ursula. Okay. If you missed the live feed, you know, feel free to go back and watch, or there's an article about Erica and about the documentary on the blog blacklesbianlovelab.com, and I'm going to go ahead and post the link to the documentary so you guys can watch it, and you know, comment on YouTube. Do you have a Bitly link or something, Erica, for the documentary, or
no, right now it's really just on YouTube.
Okay.
They can definitely go there to see it. I'm going to load it on Facebook as well. Because I was trying to decide if I was going to just link it from YouTube or load it directly from, you know, my computer to Facebook itself. So I think I am going to do that. Thus far, yeah. Yeah. They can definitely go to YouTube, and it's open for all to see and comment. As you can see, we've got a few comments.
Okay. My partner's recommended recommending that you load it directly as a native file into Facebook, because you'll probably end up doing that. So definitely different places. But like I said, I'll send the link for everyone so they can watch it if they haven't watched it yet. And again, thank you so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful Sunday.
Thank you. You too.
We'll keep in touch.